Please welcome to the stage Dr. Sharon Walker.
Good morning, everyone. And what a joy it is to be here today with all of you, to be part of this incredible community of educators, professionals, and scholars with this shared vision for engineering education. Throughout my tenure as Dean of the College of Engineering at Drexel University, I've had the great privilege to travel across the country and abroad to speak at different academic sessions, delivering workshops. I've even had the chance to lobby on the Hill in our nation's capital for funding to support higher ed, workforce development, engineering research, and so on. But what's special about today and what's special about being here is not my role as a keynote, although technically that's true, and I'm awfully chuffed you invited me to speak. What motivates me in my work as a dean and an educator and a scholar is being part of a community like this. It really is an honor to be part of a community with all of you and part of the Keen network. And I really am grateful to count myself very fortunate to be part of the extended Keen family. We are all peers in our commitment to educating and graduating engineers who have a deeper understanding of the needs of society and individuals alike. Engineers who can help play a role in minimizing conflict, whether in the developed or developing world. And engineers who will bring value to our local, regional, national, and global communities. Being among friends here, I don't need to elaborate much anyway on the role the Keen plays in faculty development, cultivating entrepreneurial mindset in students through the classroom, curricula, and culture. But I will share a few stories with you today as I reflect on this year's conference theme of transformation, transforming how we teach, how we learn, transforming the technical workforce, and transforming what we can achieve and how we can continue to add value to our communities. And as we all know well, engineering at its core is transformative. But what do we mean when I say transformative? For me, the transformative power occurs on many levels, and I'd like to spend a little time with you on each for my talk today. Let's start with the power of transformation as a draw into our field of engineering. And I'd like to start with a story of how I became interested in engineering because it speaks directly to this point. Now, when I was growing up, no one identified me as a potential STEM student. And perhaps this was due to my gender at that point in time. I was a straight A student, and yet none of my teachers or school counselors ever suggested I explore a STEM discipline when I went off to college. In fact, I was a classically trained guitarist, all set to study music in college. But after a fateful ultimate Frisbee accident that injured my finger severely enough that it ended my guitar playing career, my plans had to shift. And during that time, before the internet, which makes this all the more impressive, my mother heard about an outreach program about engineering for women and people of color at New Mexico Tech, a wonderful regional technical university in central New Mexico. And it was there I was introduced to the range of engineering fields. We got to go on field trips. And on that wonderful program, I found my passion. Now, not everyone might find attraction in a wastewater treatment plant. But for me, that's when I experienced for the first time that draw to engineering, as I saw the transformative power of technology to take a waste product and turn it and renew it into a valuable resource. We were walking across the catwalks, looking down, and while the general sentiment was one of aversion, I thought the secondary clarifier was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And for those of you environmental engineers, you can appreciate this. Now, at that time, you could say I was attracted, really drawn to the big idea of what engineers and engineering could do to transform the world we live. I went home, I changed my college applications to engineering, and I have never looked back. So what if we stretch the synonym for draw to recruit? How do we help recruit? And wearing my dean hat, I have to add enroll, retain, and graduate more young people to the discipline of engineering. Thank you. And into our institutions for engagement and deeper learning. Now, I can tell you from my role as vice chair of the Engineering Dean's Council, representing over 90% of engineering colleges across the US through the American Society of Engineering Education, this is a real question for us all. So let's review together some illuminating data. And I won't spend too much time on this because I know I'm preaching to the choir, but the demographic shift is already being felt by so many of us. Where we have historically had lots of people and population growth on the West Coast and Northeast, for example, the trends are quite acute. Now, according to data from the Agile College, How Institutions Successfully Navigate Demographic Changes by Nathan Graw from Carleton College, there is an expected 3% decline in high school graduates and 7% decline in high school graduates pursuing any type of education after high school that's supposed to continue through the 2035. In its knocking at the college door, projections of high school graduates, the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education found that the number of high school graduates nationally is actually expected to peak in the mid-2020s before entering a period of extended decline. In other words, we're only about a year away from experiencing high school graduates being decreased. And the study by Graw also agrees that we're expected to see the peak next year. So to draw a comparison, it's much the opposite of the baby boom generation. Between 9 and 11 and the Great Recession, instead of the rebound in birth rates that has typically followed historical events or disruptions, instead we are experiencing a birth dearth, and the impact is fast impending. The forecasted change by Graw contains more detail about students who will go on to post-secondary education. He projects most regions in the country will be experiencing a notable decline in the number of students who go on to this post-secondary education. And this ultimately is going to impact all of our institutions. So why should we care about enrollment, you might ask? Well, our collective mission of educating future generations aside, I will answer this from the perspective of a university administrator. Operationally, enrollment equates to dollars from the state for public institutions and from crucial tuition dollars for the private schools among us. Enrollment also equates to investments in capital updates, investments in research infrastructure, investments in faculty startup packages, all the things that we rely on to be able to provide an outstanding academic, research, and social experience for our entire university community of students, faculty, and staff. Now, save for perhaps a few elite schools with massive endowments, declining enrollment will be painful for many, if not all, institutions. And we already see the impact of this. And all you have to do is keep an eye on Inside Higher Ed or the Chronicle of Higher Education to see stories about this, new ones, every week. Now, couple this information not only with students going to college, but those who choose to study STEM specifically. Data from the National Center of Education Statistics on the status of degrees conferred in STEM show that over the past decades, master's, bachelor's, doctoral enrollments in our STEM fields has been increasing. That should be good news, right? Well, university leaders across the country are still concerned that these numbers are not significant or sufficient enough to meet the technology workforce demands. And I can hear some of you say already, but the demand is there. The demand for our graduates is there. And you're right. According to the 2023 Bureau of Labor Statistics, the demand for technically trained talent, both identified pre-COVID and reconfirmed post-COVID, is growing. Expected growth projections over the next 10 years are as follows. It's expected that there'll be a 5% growth in demand for civil, electrical, computer, material science engineers, an expected growth in chemical engineering of 8%, and mechanical engineering of 10%. And yet, while the demand for our graduates exists, That very same study I just mentioned indicates the growth in bachelor's degree in STEM is actually only at 5% a year. And this is anticipated to start decreasing due to this demographic shift I mentioned, meaning there are not enough graduates to meet the growth in the demand for the technical workforce. Quite frankly, this is a crisis. This is a talent crisis and a call to action for all of us. Everyone in education, from K to 12 to higher ed, in other words, from K to 13, as well as partners across the private sector, from industry to government to nonprofits, all have to come together and collectively address these workforce pipeline issues. Now, one way is to engage young people and their families through large, open learning events. For us at Drexel, this comes in the form of platforms like Philly Material Science and Engineering Day, a free event open to the public where attendees can come and do hands-on activities and learn about the materials we rely on in our day-to-day life. And we have dozens of different demonstrations for all ages and provide behind-the-scenes tours for high school students interested in pursuing STEM. This year's event actually was just last Saturday. It was a lot of fun, and it's a good example of partnership as well. It was sponsored by Boeing, Verter Scientific, and Arkema, and was also a partnership with the University of Pennsylvania, the Science History Institute, and others. It's a phenomenal example of how entities across the K-13 spectrum and industry come together for a common cause to inspire young people in engineering. We need more programs like this. But we also need smaller, more targeted programs. These can be so effective to draw young people into engineering and other STEM fields. Another example, we have partnered with Johnson & Johnson in their Bridge to the Employment program. Now, the unique thing about this, and I really respect Johnson & Johnson for this, is it's a program not about them. Rather, they are sponsoring and leading a partnership because it's designed to introduce young people to STEM fields and the healthcare opportunities and provides academic and real-world experiences in partnership with schools and higher ed. At Drexel, we've been partnering with J&J along with LaSalle University, the Philadelphia Education Fund, a nonprofit, 2 area high schools, all holding virtual and in-person events so students can engage through experiential learning in the exciting world of STEM. And they've also had the chance to get to know our students and have that near-peer experience, mentoring experience. But of course, pre-college prep also means engaging in an authentic way with our communities. In a community engagement approach, Professor Franco Montalto, one of our Drexel faculty in civil engineering, is leading a collaborative effort with Drexel, University of Pennsylvania, and Villanova. And he has formed the Academic Network to support urban water resilience funded by a grant by the William Penn Foundation. It's a wonderful example of the nonprofit academic partnership. This collaboration is working with grassroots community organizations to co-generate research projects that address areas of need that the community has identified. And it's turning them into projects that our students and our researchers are taking on at the partner universities. Now, while our current students get to engage in this important work and have those valuable research opportunities, local and regional community members gain a deeper understanding and appreciation of what we do at universities and how we serve them, and how we can have an impact and create value for the community. And a very important additional benefit is that we can spark the interest of future students, the children in the community, that see the work we're doing and then the impact that engineering can have in their neighborhoods and in their communities. These are just a few brief examples along a spectrum from kindergarten to middle school, high school to undergraduate research projects of how we can think about responding to post-secondary projection data, which are at times a bit depressing, and turn the tide for future generations of students. Now, of course, once we draw new students in, it is our responsibility to do everything we can to retain them and ensure their ongoing success. An example is our very own Jenny Atson, who's named a 2023 Campus Keen Rising Star. So please humor me as I share, in case you don't have it all memorized yet, that this is an honor that goes to junior faculty who are driven by this entrepreneurial mindset to create long-lasting value directly impacting the hearts and minds of our students, peers, and communities. Jenny has introduced value-sensitive design to her seniors and first-year students as a way to connect better with the direct and indirect stakeholders of their design projects, and uses the ideation toolkit to teach students new skills. Now, interestingly, as she has shared with me, when she used the toolkit, she observed that her positionality as a professor actually had the impact of inhibiting student creativity. So she's been collaborating with others on our campus in the School of Education and Neuropsychology, and they have designed a mixed method study to investigate this really interesting correlation. And based upon the results of this ongoing study, they hope to develop interventions so that students can feel empowered and safe in taking creative risk. Now, a number of my wonderful Drexel colleagues are here, and Jenny's effort is just one example happening on our campus, demonstrating how committed we are to transforming how we teach and how our students have opportunities to learn in partnership with the Keene community. But we are also committed to transforming the next generation of educators. Now, students are our future, but so are our faculty. They are the community front lines, educating the students, researching what's new and next, and leading our organizations so they can have maximum impact. It is critical to ensure diversity and equity across the career lifespan of faculty in STEM because the experiences of our students and the academic community at large only is stronger when we add more types of voices to the mix. We have to advocate for ourselves and others. This is particularly important as we go on in leadership. We have to amplify each other to ensure the voices of women and those who have historically been marginalized are respected and heard. And we have to strengthen professional development and retention of our talented faculty. Now, as a dean, I have the opportunity, and I believe the ethical imperative to facilitate such institutional and cultural change. At Drexel and in our community of academic engineering, there are a few fronts on which we are addressing this need to develop and support women and our faculty from marginalized backgrounds. For one, in partnership with key offices across Drexel, we are examining our recruitment practices, reinvigorating our ways in which we do searches, and conducting faculty searches in a very clear, strong alignment to thematic areas of our college's strategic plan. And finally, we are working hard to address issues of pay and promotion equity through 2 different NSF advance grants. And I'd be happy to chat with you, anyone who's interested afterwards, more about these advanced projects. In addition to updating hiring, tenure, and promotion practices, we must also offer opportunities for leadership advancement for our faculty. So in addition to serving as dean, I'm also the executive director of the ELATES program, which stands for the Executive Leadership in Academic Technology, Engineering, and Sciences program. And this is hosted at Drexel. In fact, I'm a very proud and grateful ELATES alum myself, and credit the program as transformative in my own career as I transitioned from faculty ranks and research active to a more formal full-time leadership role. For those who are not aware, ELATES is an intensive 1-year fellowship program that aims to prepare and build a community of exceptional women, leaders, and allies that foster transformational change in their institutions and in the communities they are serving. Yet while these programs are hosted at our institution, they are by no means a resource only for Drexel faculty. And on that note, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Keene for supporting 5 of our ELATES fellows this year and having committed to support more next year. We are very grateful for that support. What ELATES did was it opened doors for me to meet like-minded women also interested in leadership. And it gave all of us a toolkit, negotiation skills, strategic planning approaches, and developing a financial acumen. And ultimately, this prepares us to take on new and expanded roles to transform STEM education across our universities. In short, this program is preparing a new wave of leaders for transforming the landscape of STEM education and STEM educators. Last but not least, let's talk about transforming and being transformed by the technical workforce as part of meeting our mission. Our graduates go on to be citizens of industry, nonprofit, government, and all sectors of the workforce, as we heard those wonderful talks earlier today. It is imperative, then, that we work together to develop innovative solutions and transform this workforce. Now, the traditional model of industry support has been for companies to seek collaboration that has a direct ROI, custom certificate programs, workforce training and development. And this model has been a strength for many of us in this room. At Drexel over the years, this is something we've really leaned into. For example, just in October, we announced the creation of an innovative new Power Engineering Certificate, which is a partnership with Baltimore Gas and Electric, a subsidiary of the Exelon Corporation. Through this program, our talented faculty are designing curricula designed to meet the timely and specific workforce needs around grid advancements and distributed energy resources that this power company needs. It's essential to realize, though, that industry education partnerships have other deep and meaningful connections too, and the ability to transform the ways we educate and prepare our students. For example, we continue to launch partnerships and collaborations that are mutually beneficial to students and the organizations, like a 3-year partnership we've launched between Mechanical Engineering and Eastern Controls and Endress and Hauser USA. This collaboration creates and fosters a pipeline of future engineers ready to succeed in careers focused on data-driven manufacturing automation. We also achieve this at Drexel through our co-op program and many other experiential learning modalities. And I'm sure you are doing very similar complementary things on your campus, innovating through experiential initiatives. So to close, I'd like to share some special initiatives that build on the technical workforce, but on the flip side, how we are being transformed by industry. A couple of years ago, we launched the Drexel Engineering Alumni Industry Board, or Alumni Industry Advisory Board, a new initiative to expand our pursuit of collaborative two-way relationships with our for-profit, nonprofit, and community organizations, government agencies, and so on. The main goal of this group is for our alumni in industry to inform us and support us in all aspects of our research, our academic programs, our curriculum, and practice. This group comprises a diverse range of mid-career engineering alums, both in sector and in experience, and is having a very real impact in how we approach everything from strategic planning to curricular reform. Keene has also been a great partner on related efforts. We are very grateful to be supported by the Kern Family Foundation as part of a team led by the University of Wisconsin-Platteville in Project Unlock. And as we learned in an excellent workshop yesterday morning, this team has developed a toolkit and approach for leveraging industry advisory boards with the intent of moving from the traditional advisory model to one of active partnership, with a goal of helping institutions advance an entrepreneurial mindset in engineers. And we are applying those tools at Drexel, and I encourage you to ask the group of PIs on that project more, because it's a very exciting initiative. In each of these ways, higher ed and industry are symbiotically transforming engineering education. And so there you have it, a journey of the transformational power of engineering, from the draw of the transformational impact to recruiting and developing students into engineers, from training the next generation of engineering educators to engaging industry and seeking two-way input to transform the technical workforce. My gratitude goes to Keene for its role as an important resource and network for us all, and my thanks for the chance to share my insights today. And I trust you've gained lots of new insights and ideas at this conference, and I hope you in turn will share with us the incredible things you are doing or the next steps you're about to take to bring transformation to your institution and to engineering education practice. Do you have a new idea for a recruitment event or getting young people excited about STEM? Start planning it now. Do you have an industry partner who wants to engage your students in a project? Connect with them today. Do you have a faculty member recommendation that you'd like to share with me for ELATES? Let me know afterwards. And don't forget, please, don't forget to share all the wonderful things you are doing through the Keen Card dashboard so that we can all benefit from each other's learning and innovation and experience. Because that at its core is the value of the network. And finally, I ask that whatever your ambition and passion, remember that we are all connected by the transformative power of engineering, and together we can engineer positive change for the world around us. Thank you very much.